Supporting Ruvini, an evidence-based inclusive learning plan proposal for a student with autism, SD Level 2, in Year 4. Before I begin, I would like to acknowledge the Wurundjeri Woiwurrung people of the Kulin Nation as the traditional custodians of the land on which I am presenting today, and pay my respects to their elders past, present, and emerging. Hi, I am Ruwanthi Silva. In this presentation, I will share my inclusive teaching plan proposal for Ruvini Fernando, who is a child with autism. She is in my Year 4 placement classroom. My focus is on how universal design, evidence-based strategies, family partnership, and external resources collectively support one child while lifting the entire classroom. This is our agenda. Inclusion is not something we include at the end. It is something we design from the beginning. According to Florial and Blackhousekin, inclusive pedagogy refers to extending what is generally available to all students, rather than facilitating something different only for some. Everything I recommend for Ruvini is based on that idea. Ruvini is 9 years old and Year 4 at Essex Heights Government Primary School, Melbourne. She has been diagnosed with Autism Spectrum Disorder Level 2 under the DSM-5-TR category following the Australian National Guideline for Autism Assessment. Her family is Sri Lankan Australian, and the Sinhala language is spoken at home alongside English. Her classroom layout is open plan, 15 hours per week of education support officer time, along with fortnightly insights from the psychologist and the learning support team are provided to Ruvini by the school. First, I would like to demonstrate her strengths. Ruvini has a deep, consistent interest in aviation. She can remember in detail beautifully. She follows clear visual routines. She writes confidently when given a structured scaffold. And she shows real warmth towards two classmates she trusts. I consider these to be the foundations I will build on. They are not workarounds. Her current challenges are clearly visible. She finds it difficult in unstructured social moments, especially in recess. Anxiety is elevated during the transitions between activities. Sustained writing without a scaffold is overwhelming. Sensory overload from noise in the open plan room can lead her to shut down. I do not interpret these responses as deficits. Instead, I view them as important signals that inform how my teaching design should adapt. Ruvini was diagnosed with ASD at age 4. As girls with autism are often under-identified, an older cousin's earlier diagnosis was a blessing for Ruvini. Otherwise, she might have been missed for years. Since diagnosis, she has had consistent therapy support, a strong home-school relationship, and is classified at the extensive level on the nationally consistent collection of data. This mandates daily, individualized adjustments across her school day. I have set 3 SMART goals for Ruvini for this term. Goal 1. Peer initiation at recess with fading prompts. Goal 2. Independent use of a self-regulation strategy at transitions. Goal 3. A structured 4 to 6 sentence paragraph using a planning scaffold. All three align with Vygotsky's zone of proximal development, which encourages offering the space when she can succeed with the right support. All three follow the gradual release of responsibility model from Fisher and Frey, where the teacher does, then we do together, then she does alone. Let's look at goal 1. It is based on social communication, which is aligned with Year 4 English Code AC9E4LY02. Ruvini will initiate one peer interaction at recess using a visual prompt card on 3 out of 5 days as observed over 2 weeks by the end of term 2. Supports include a small group lunch club, I'm calling Flight Club, built around her enthusiasm for aviation, a peer buddy roster, a visual prompt card, and a social story written for her by the learning support coordinators. The Flight Club brings other students to her level of strength, rather than motivating Ruvini to mask her difference. Let's look at the second goal, self-regulation, which is associated with years 3 to 4 health and physical education, code AC9HP4P06. Ruvini will independently utilize a learn strategy, which is a visual schedule check, a sensory break request, or a ready or not ready card in 4 out of 5 daily transitions by the end of term 2. Her supports include a personal visual schedule, a sensory toolkit, and a pre-organized sensory break pass. The entire class will benefit from the visual timetable and countdown, not just Ruvini. Let's look at the third goal. This is written expression mapped to Year 4 English Code AC9E4LY06. Ruvini will produce a structured 4 to 6 sentence paragraph using a planning scaffold in 3 of 4 weekly writing sessions by the end of term 2. I support her with 3 accommodations, a graphic organizer to plan the structure, sentence starters to help her initiate the paragraph, and the option of speech to text since writing is effortful for her. Aviation theme prompts are used to activate her prior knowledge. To verify the task is clear, I used a teach back strategy. I asked Ruvini to repeat the task back in her own words, paraphrasing, before she starts. Every accommodation has a fading criterion tied to evidence of proficiency, drawn from Hattie and Tim Perley's Power of Feedback framework. This grade illustrates a whole class differentiation for the writing outcome. Though the same curriculum objective sits across the top, every pupil selects a path through it. Down one side, I have Bloom's cognitive levels from remember and understand, through analyze up to create. Across the top, I have Gardner's intelligence channels, namely linguistic, spatial, logical, mathematical, and interpersonal. Ruvini's natural channel is spatial, and her core cognitive level is applied, such as drawing and annotating a flight route diagram. So the grid lets her access the sum outcome through her strength, while another child might travel via the interpersonal or the linguistic column. Many routes for one outcome. That is differentiation, that respects and includes every learner in the classroom. Florian and Black Hawkins' inclusive pedagogy is the framework that holds all this together. The principle is that I enhance what is usually available so that every learner in the room benefits. The visual schedule helps Ruvini, as well as my 5 English as an additional language learners. The countdown timers calm Ruvini's transitions and they support the student with anxiety too. The co-constructed rubrics scaffold Ruvini's writing, and they also lift the 4 slower paced learners. Furthermore, Friendship Skills Friday, the mini lesson implemented around Ruvini's social goal, benefits all 24 students. Universal Design for Learning offers me 3 principles, namely multiple means of engagement, representation, and action. I couple this with the response to intervention 3-tier model. Tier 1 is universal. UDL supports the entire class. Tier 2 is targeted. The Flight Club for a small group and ESO-led writing support. Tier 3 is intensive. Ruvini specific social story, gradual fading of one-to-one prompts, and fortnightly psychologist input. I also want to honestly name 2 important limitations. First, social stories work for the specific behavior they target. Second, scaffolds must be temporary. Every accommodation has a documented fading criterion because the goal is independence, not dependence. I want to apply this one critical lens. Autism research has been conducted largely on boys, and the true sex ratio is closer to 3-1. Therefore, girls like Ruvini are systematically under-identified. Many girls mask their difficulties at school, then collapse at home, and it is called the cork bottle effect. They internalize distress as anxiety rather than expressing it as disruption. They can sit with peers and still feel lonely in a crowd. If I plan only for stereotypical boy with autism, I will miss Ruvini entirely. As a result, the cost will be paid privately at home. That is why this plan is built around her actual profile, not a stereotype. All 3 goals are mapped to the Australian Curriculum version 9. Social communication is represented by AC9 E4LY02. Self-regulation is represented by AC9 HPP4 P06 and written expression by AC9E4LY06. There is also an extension code AC9M4ST01 in mathematics for flight schedules and time zones project that leverages Ruvini's aviation interest. Let's look at how I will know it's working. My review cycles have 5 layers. Daily, a brief homeschool communication book entry of 1 or 2 lines. Weekly, a short informal parent contact through CISO, a phone call or pickup chat. Fortnightly, an internal learning support team data review of 15 minutes. At week 5, there is a formal student support group meeting to review the SMART goals against evidence and update the NCCT record. I will conduct a full plan review with the inclusive education team at the end of term 2. Most importantly, Ruvini's voice shapes her own plan. She reviews her own goals fortnightly using choice cards in line with Article 12 of the UN Convention on the Rights of the Child. In conclusion, how Ruvini experiences our classrooms is shaped by her autism, not whether she can succeed in it. She is not a problem to manage. She is a learner whose presence makes my teaching better. This plan is built on Florian's principles of extending what is generally available, grounded in universal design for learning and informed by gender-aware autism research. The supports I have designed for her, namely the visuals, the routines, the scaffolds, and the partnership with her family, strengthen the learning of every child in my Year 4 classroom. That is what inclusive design looks like in practice. Thank you for listening. Preferences. Thank you.